Oh, that's how you get bogeys instead of birdies.
The average golfer three putts about 3 or 4 times around, a 5 handicapper a little over 2, a scratch golfer more than 1, and a PGA Tour pro only 3 putts once every second round. Give me 12 minutes and we'll fix that problem forever. Because fixing 3-putting is easy, but most people don't know what to do or how to put in the effort.
Birdies and par saves, just like that.
I said just a minute ago that eliminating 3 putts was easy. It is, because all you got to do is always make the second putt. Now, I know that sounds silly and yet at the same time obvious, but hear me out. It's a change in mindset. If you can get down the mindset and the understanding and the skills to always make the second putt, it's transformational. In this video, I'm going to give you 2 simple skills to have that mindset, and then a fun way to put those together so you can actually do what's required to greatly reduce the number of 3 putts forever. So the first skill is always get the first putt close enough that the second one is at least makeable. And then the second skill is get so good at short putts that missing just doesn't happen. Let's start with the first skill, lag putting, and talk about how to get that done. Do a lot of videos on the channel on controlling speed and distance. My online course, How to Putt the Right Way, has about 15 different drills for controlling speed and distance so that you always get the first putt close enough that the second putt is easy. In this video, I want to give you a simple concept and way to practice that concept. The concept is the 10% rule. I always want to put my first putt within 10% of the total distance. Here's what I mean by that. If I've got a 10-foot putt, then I want to putt where my miss, if I don't make the 10-footer, is within 1 foot of the hole. A 15-footer, 1.5 feet. A 30-footer within 3 foot. A 50-footer within 5 feet. That's good enough. The 10% rule, and then make that next putt. So here's a quick, simple technique that you can use to develop the skill of always getting your first putt inside that 10% distance. So to develop speed and distance control, I want to kind of benchmark what's a 10-foot putt like. And as you remember, I always want to use the same rhythm and tempo. I'm moving the putter head at what it feels like to me, the same speed, controlling it with distance. So here I've got an alignment rod. You could use a club, a string, whatever. And I've got it 10 feet away. And you don't have to measure exactly. For me, this is 3.5 steps. And so I set up a ball here, 10 feet from that alignment rod. And what I'm working on is rolling the ball to where it just touches that alignment rod. That was actually pretty good for speed. That's about right. So what you do is you just work on this before you play every round. 10 feet. I'm trying to get a feel for how far I take the putter back and through at the same rhythm and tempo to roll the ball 10 feet. And once you get comfortable that this is my stroke for 10 feet, those were very consistent. Now I know what 10 feet feels like and how far I move the putter for 10 feet. So out on the course, I got a 20-foot putt, twice that far. I got a 5-foot putt, half that far. I got a 50-foot putt, it's 5 times that far. But you work on that and you do it over and over until you get that ingrained. That's my stroke. Now I've got a little margin for error, of course, but I can roll the ball approximately 30 feet when I want to, approximately 50 feet when I want to. And I get it with inside that window, And now if I read greens well enough that I can get the line within 3 to 4 or 5 feet on either side of the hole and the distance in that same tolerance, then I'm putting all of my first putts inside that 10% circle. So that's skill number one. Learn to control your distance within a 10% circle of the distance you are from the hole. Skill number two then is make those second putts. Let's talk about how to do that. So now you got that first skill. Let's work on the second skill, which is making all the second putts. Work on 5 feet and less. You could go out to 8 feet when you get really good at this, but let's just, if you worked on the first skill, you're not going to have very many putts, first putts, longer than 50 feet. You put those within 5 feet of the hole, and you always make that 5-footer, then you're almost never going to 3-putt. That's the idea. All right, first let's talk about how would you ever miss a 5-foot putt. Let's agree it's not speed. You're not going to leave a 5-footer short. You're not going to blast it way past the hole. Speed should not be a problem for you on 5-footers. Well, it's not going to be green read, at least very often, because unless there's a huge slope like 2.5 or 3%, you're never going to start a 5-foot putt outside the hole. You're going to start it at least on the inside edge. And if it is a big slope where it's going to break and you need to start it outside, you'll be able to see that. So it's not speed and it's not green reading most of the time on 5-footers. Why would you ever miss them? It's because you've got a problem keeping putter face square to your target line, or you've got a problem with your stroke, or a problem with your aiming. I'm going to give you a simple solution right now that solves all three of those at once. So 5-foot putt, I want to work on aiming and my stroke. This one has a significant amount of break, so where do I aim it? And it's one of those that probably has about 2% or more of break. So what I've done is I've got out my 1-putt ruler and I've lined up the aiming line and the intermediate target just outside the hole, about here. So now I'm working on aiming and of course blending line and speed. Why would I miss this 5-foot putt? Well, if I'm set up wrongly, if I'm not aimed at the right point, if I don't have the putter in the right position in my stance, or if I don't make a stroke that keeps the putter face square. Well, the 1-putt ruler, by the way, there's a link to it in the video description, has these alignment marks in the 5 inches behind the ball to help me keep the putter face square here. Has an aiming target out 9 inches in front of the ball here. So I'm going to work on this 5-foot putt, just keeping my setup square, my face square, my speed, and rolling straight up that line and into the hole. And I'm going to do that over and over again. And I'm going to move this setup around to different places on this hole from 5 feet so that I'm aiming correctly, setting up correctly, making a consistent stroke, and hold that. And I'll promise you, if you'll get to where you can do this like 100 times in a row, and I know that seems like a lot, but it takes effort if you're going to eliminate 3 putts. You get to where you can do this 100 times in a row, you will be deadly from this distance. And that means you're always making the second putt. Now, if you find you're struggling with these 5-footers, or you really want to get to the place where you never struggle with them, you can add a little gate. Like I've got a gate drill here for not only my putter head, but tees in the front for the target line. And this is very difficult. It's if my putter face is closed ever so slightly right or left, I'm going to hit one of those tees in the front, which are just barely the width of the golf ball. That's very difficult to go between without hitting these front tees. And you practice that, where you make maybe 100 putts a day and your goal is to get 50 of them through there without touching either tee. You get to where you're nailing the short putts that well, you're always making the second putt. Now all you got to do is put the first putt within that 4, 5, 6, 8 feet of the hole if you're 80 feet away, and you're almost never 3-putting. So you've worked on the two skills independently. Let's put them together so that you always get the first putt in the close range and you always make the second putt. Here's what I do. I go out on the practice green and I just drop a ball. So here's where I am. Here's where I've hit my approach shot on this hole. I'm going to say that's the hole, and I'm going to treat it just like I would on the golf course. I'm going to do a full green read using the method I do, which is find the straight line between me and the hole and line up the lower end of the putter shaft on that. Lower it. Okay, so now I have a target starting point. And again, I'm going through my full routine. Got a pretty good idea where I want to aim this, thinking about the speed, set up, and roll the putt. And this is about 35 feet, so I want to finish within 3.5 feet of the hole. And that's pretty close. And then I'm going to pick up the ball, aim at the next hole on the course, and go at it with the same procedure. And I'm trying to 2-putt or better each hole. And my goal is to make it 18 holes or more without a 3-putt, because that's exactly what I'm trying to do on the golf course. You should go out and do this drill or this fun game and keep score, and then see how you do and set goals for getting better and track that over time. And when you do 3-putt, ask yourself, is it because I didn't get my first putt within the 10% range, or is it because I need to work on my short putts? And then you go back and work on the 2 little skills that I gave you in this video to fix that. And if you'll do this over time, you'll find you'll eliminate a lot of 3-putts. If you like that kind of thing, then you know the drill to do for that. Like, subscribe, comment, share this video with a friend. Be sure and check out the HONU products and my online putting course. And here's to you making more putts.